Hi YouTube, it's Michael Gallacher here, the media preacher, back with another video. You'll recall from the last video that I recorded 3 songs basically with piano and vocals onto the Tascam Model 12. I was so happy with them. I thought I could really build these recordings, but I need a bit of help to do that. Got some knowledge of the drums, but I'm not a great drummer and I don't have access to nice drum kits and things. I got in touch with a friend of mine called Nick Jones, who is a professional drummer. Now Nick had played with a friend of mine called Andy Beglin for many years, and when Andy was recording his studio album, Andy had asked me to record the album, and we got Nick in to help with some percussion parts. So I've met Nick before, we got on great, we had a fantastic recording session on Andy's sessions, and the end product for Andy Beglin's The Beast in His Temptress was absolutely superb, and I would recommend anybody to go and check it out on Spotify or Apple Music or any of those platforms. But because I'd worked with Nick previously, and he is an amazingly talented drummer, I dropped him a message basically just asking him, telling him, hey Nick, I'm recording some songs, they're a bit of a passion project, I wondered if you'd like to maybe be involved and record some drum parts. But I wanted really to have like proper input with a drummer, and I thought Nick would be someone who I could have proper input with because we'd be present in the same room together. Anyway, Nick got back to me and he was like, yeah, I'd love to do that, let's do it. So we arranged a date, we just recorded, and also we didn't have anywhere to record, so Nick very kindly allowed me to use his drum school basically, because he's got some specialised like drum rooms in his drum school, and he was like, yeah, no, come down, we'll use the room. So I took down the Tascam Model 12 recorder. In advance of the sessions, I'd sent Nick just some piano and demo mix downs of what I'd recorded at the previous studio in Leicester. Nick was able to listen to them and get an idea and a sense of what the songs were and what kind of drum parts he would put on it. I had recorded my original parts in Leicester with basically a drum machine, but I didn't send him those beats at all because I didn't want his interpretation and his idea of how the drums should fit to be prejudiced in any way by the recording, so I only sent him the vocal and the piano parts. And so we got together on Easter Monday, I met him at Archway's drum school, he was so accommodating to me, he brought his kit, which is this amazing, beautiful sounding kit. And recording really is, a lot of it's about the performance and about the quality of the instrument. If you've got those two things right, then everything else sort of falls into place. I mean, for the recording, I only bought actually 3 microphones. I bought 2 condenser microphones that I used as overheads, and then I used an old Shure microphone in the bass drum. And I had the piano and the vocal parts on separate tracks on the Tascam, and then I basically just set up 3 tracks from those 3 microphones. The thing was ready to go, and we were ready to record. Unfortunately, and this is sometimes happens with recordings, I had a bit of a technical difficulty on this day. So I drive to Leamington Spa, I meet Nick, he set his drum kit up, so he's given me his time. He's Easter Monday, his holiday, he's got his beautiful kit out for me, he's put time putting it all together. I set up all the microphones, and then when we go to record, all of a sudden, the only microphone I'm getting any signal from is the old Shure dynamic microphone that was in the bass drum. I wasn't getting any sound at all from the 2 condenser microphones. So I sort of looked at it and was panicking. So Nick's sort of playing, and I'm sitting thinking, I'm getting no signal from this at all. And I'm feeling really guilty at this point because I'm thinking to myself, wow, this guy has gone out of his way to help me and I've turned up completely unprepared, which wasn't the case. I was just having a technical difficulty. Part of being a good producer is making sure that everybody perhaps is relaxed in the atmosphere. So I didn't want to show Nick that I was feeling stressed in that moment. So I basically had to say to him, well, look, let's use this as like a session to basically make some drum parts and to know what we're going to play. But for now, I'll just use the dynamic microphone as like one mono overhead mic on the drums. And I think we recorded the first track just with the dynamic microphone because I just couldn't get the condensers to work. And we went away, we had a drink, we had a bit of a break. I then came back to it with fresh eyes and I suddenly realised that on the Tascam, well, I'd hit the phantom power button. The screen had asked me, are you sure you want phantom power, yes or no? And I hadn't clicked the yes button. So of course, those wouldn't work. The condenser mics had no power. So as soon as I realised my mistake, I hit the yes and they came to life and the recording session could start. And man, did it start in earnest, because Nick is a pro all the way. I literally pressed the first song. He's got a good idea already of what he's going to play. I think we played through it once. We sort of talked about it a little bit. Then we played through it a second time, and that was the take. It was done. It was just bang, it was there. And we then came to the second track, and Nick did, I think, he did it originally with sticks, And he then said to me, should we do it again? And I'll do it with brushes. So I just recorded the sticks on 3 tracks, and then I took another 3 tracks and recorded the same song, a different performance with brushes. The idea was Nick was trying to give me options. You know, look, you can either mix it down using the stick version, or you can mix it down with the brush version. I don't know which I'm going to use yet, because I haven't mixed the tracks down. I've only just got home. But that's kind of the input that I was after. And I wanted him to put his stamp and his signature on those drum parts. You know, he's a person who's played all kinds of drum parts and all kinds of different songs. He's really a rock drummer, and I wanted him to bring that sensibility, certainly to a song called Did You Mean the Way You Kissed? But he brought a really gentle sensibility to another song called Lullaby. I wasn't expecting him to do, but when he said to me, look, let's take one version of it and then you've got options. You know, and then Nick, rather than just being like a robotic drum machine and it playing the same part time and time and time again, he was adding fills. It was absolutely fantastic. It was a fantastic day. We basically recorded the 3 tracks really quite quickly, probably in about an hour and a half. We spent about half an hour, I think, on each track, just playing it through the first time. Second time playing it, recording it, maybe doing a second recording. I think that the parts that he came up with are just incredible, and I can't wait to listen to them back and start mixing them down, and then to share them with everybody on YouTube as part of this YouTube series that I'm trying to put together. But he's really added so much, and I'm so grateful to both Nick and to Archways Drum School for helping me put these recordings together and bring these songs to life, which is really what Nick's done. So because he's really added an extra creative input. And that's something else as well. When you're a singer-songwriter and you're just sort of recording in a bubble, and you're recording your own songs in a bubble, there's not a lot of people who say, is this good, is that good? When you get in a room with other musicians and you start bashing out ideas, that's when things start to get really interesting, because you might realise that there's something you're doing that's not great, and they give you input, or you can say something to them, I'm not sure about that, and then they listen to it. And it's the coming together of ideas that is part of the pleasure, really, of creativity. So what I would say is, if you are a musician, and certainly if you're a singer-songwriter on your own, never be afraid to reach out to other musicians and ask for help. I mean, Nick was fantastic. You know, he loves playing on original material, and it was just an absolute pleasure to play with him, to have his creative input on the songs, and I can't wait to hear the finished product. So thanks, Nick. Thanks, Archways Drum School. If you want lessons, drum lessons, and you live in the Leamington area, honestly, I could not recommend them more. It's a fantastic facility, and the guys that work there are just absolutely superb. And like I say, after we'd finished doing the recordings, we just went out and had a cup of coffee, and we sat just chatting for about an hour about music and life and the recordings and what we were going to do. It was just such a great afternoon, and a really special afternoon, one that I'm going to remember for a long time. So thanks, Nick, and I can't wait to share the recordings with everybody. See you next time.